What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Higurashi When They Cry Sotsu. This is episode 7, and with me as always, I have Blue Spade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we learn. Well, it's not enough to know that, like, you know, this, like, that Sadako's like a pretty sadistic person at this point. I mean, like, we pretty much see like how depraved she's become, including, like, she knows for a fact that Rika has suffered, like, even before this, and now, like, she's just like it's almost like she's just reveling in, you know, in her suffering and, like, trying to go through these loops over and over and over again. And
yeah, I feel like with the new series we've learned that Sadako is both a psychopathic and a sadist, because she's odd. It definitely seems like she's taking pleasure in just seeing Rika continually suffer. And even in one of the lines she says in the beginning of the episode, that she says something like Rika hasn't suffered enough. And I feel like Rika, having gone through hundreds of years of dying over and over again, like I feel like that's more than enough suffering. And I guess not to Sadako.
No, she just wants to continually make Rika suffer again and again. But then, like, there are times when she, you know, where she displays a lot of overconfidence in this episode as well. Like, she has this conversation with Rika, like, asking her, like supposedly, like, she tells her she has this dream about Rika going to a fancy looking school after leaving Hinamizawa. And I'm a little bit shocked that Rika doesn't really question something like that, or, like, question why, you know, Sadako would really know something about this. But, you know, it just goes on, like, saying that, you know, about Sadako saying that Rika has committed a sin, or Oyashiro-sama is angry with her or whatnot. And it just, you know, it goes to the point where, you know, Rika just completely breaks down crying, and then, you know, Sadako just pretty much, you know, trying to comfort her, even though she's, you know, taking such sick pleasure in, you know, seeing her suffer through all of this.
This is pretty much similar to the conversation from Neko Damashi, where Sadako was just basically, like, gaslighting her and saying stuff like, you know, Oyashiro is displeased or something. You know, why would you want to leave this town? This is like, Hinamizawa is such a nice place, etc. This is like the same point she brought up there. So it's kind of similar to that conversation. I mean, even when Sadako brings up going to a fancy school, like, Rika basically says, like, what's wrong with that? And Sadako just basically continues to emphasize how great a place this is. Like, why would you ever want to leave here? I feel like, you know, Sadako is basically just, I guess no matter how many times she goes through these loops, she's basically, you know, just stuck in the past, and she wants to stay there, whereas Rika is tired of it and wants to move on into the future. But Sadako won't allow her to do so.
It's just her inability to let go of Rika.
Yeah.
Throughout the entirety of her life, like, you know, that whole codependency thing that you keep bringing up.
Yeah, like, I mean, even if you're friends with somebody, like, there's a point to where it's a little way too far. Even if you're in, like, say, a romantic relationship, like, this would be considered sort of like a toxic relationship, because this person will not let you have any space, or is constantly, like, wanting to be around you. Like, no matter how you look at it, regardless of whatever kind of relationship it is, it's like, this is obviously, like, a really unhealthy relationship, and Sadako is being manipulative and towards Rika. Like, anybody can see that. Yeah, that's, you know, that's not good. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. How do you feel about them just kind of turning Sadako just being this character now? Like, I mean, I don't know, because, like, with the original series, like, the whole message was that you need to, like, trust in your friends, and you know, like, that bond will help you get through anything, essentially. And, like, I suppose the message here is just, like, sometimes you need to let go and, like, or something like that. You can't like stay in the past or whatever.
That's definitely the right message. I'm thinking, where this is going.
But I just don't know how I feel about like basically, the creator taking one of the characters like Sadako, and it almost feels like, I mean, a lot of people say it makes sense for Sadako that she turned into this type of person, but I just don't know about that. Like, I mean, maybe there was something I was missing from the original series where it was implied that she would possibly become this kind of a person, but it's like, it just feels like, I don't know. I never really got the implication that she was, she would turn into essentially a villain, like with this new series. So I don't know. I'm kind of like, I guess you could say I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. I think it's an interesting twist, but at the same time, it feels like they had to go back and sort of like mess with one of the characters in order to do, for a sequel to even exist for Higurashi. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. Like them just because I mean with this episode too, like it just really makes like it seems like with each episode, Sadako more and more she does not really. It's obvious like she does not have any remorse or any guilt or anything over what she's doing, and she's willing to literally just do anything to keep Rika and Hinabizawa and to continue to have Rika suffer. And not only Rika, but all these, anybody else too, like her uncle. And it also makes you feel bad for her uncle too, even though you hated him in the original series. Like in this episode, you feel even worse for him because he's just being taken advantage of again. And this whole arc is probably just going to be Teppei being taken advantage of by Sadako.
Yes. So it pretty much like plays the exact same scenario about with this episode showing off like the baseball game and then everyone having the celebratory barbecue, but then like it.
One thing I want to point out too is in the original series, like the way they had to win that baseball game was like Keiichi sort of making a deal with the pitcher. In this one, it's just Sadako. I guess Sadako might have like won it for them because of how many times she's gone through this loop. That she's just like perfect at this game, and she just hits home runs every time, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it makes it pretty obvious that she's good at everything now. It's like she does things over and over again, and it's like she's good with guns.
Anything she's perfect at it. Like I mean, even later on in the episode, when she's playing shogi, she knows, like I guess she knows all the moves, so she already knows how to win.
And like even her friends, like recognize that she's terrible at certain things. Even like she struck out many times during baseball, but now like in every single instance, no matter what game she plays, she knows she pretty much cheats at everything.
I wonder if one of the ways to beat her would be to introduce something that didn't happen in any of the loops that you wouldn't be familiar with.
But it wouldn't matter because she's gonna replay
she still has her looping powers.
So,
and she doesn't really care about how many times she kills herself. So I mean, I guess she has that advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after the barbecues, like she goes visit her uncle again. Like you said, playing shogi, and eventually, of course, winning it. Through her usual fashion and stuff. And then even like the two guys playing shogi with them have noticed that Teppei's become like a better person since then. And so this is the point where Sadako asks her uncle to come back to Hinamizawa with them, and then so they go and stay at that old that old mansion or whatever the house is.
It's like I guess it was like the old Hojo house.
Yeah. So she asks him to stay because she pretty much manipulates him at this point by telling him that everyone's been bullying her because she's part of the Hojo family that supported the dam building project from back then, and this she pretty much convinces her uncle to be her protector from all the harassers and bullies that come after her. And then it's pretty sad to see that of Sadako just literally just manipulating and taking advantage of her uncle's kindness like this at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it just feels like this is not the Sadako. Obviously, this is not the Sadako we knew from the original series.
Yeah, and of course, several residents have also taken notice about with Tepe coming back to the village, saying that because they don't even they don't know that he's a changed person at this point. They still recognize him as this as this terrible person who's abused Sadako throughout the years. And they're afraid that that he's going to end up abusing her again, which of course is as we know, like right now, it's not true. So so that's
they basically discussed like having a meeting, I guess, with the village elders and Oreo about, I guess, to discuss Tepe coming back into town. But that's like I mean, of course it also ends with the two of them embracing, but Sadako having one of her many creepy faces where it's pretty obvious that she's just taking advantage of this situation. It also makes more sense now for, I guess, the reason why Keiichi was attacked at the end of this arc and Go. She was probably, I mean, it's either that Sadako told her uncle to do that, or that he did it on his own because he thought that Keiichi was a threat to her.
Yeah, I mean, it leads me to the question, like, whether or not her her appreciation for Keiichi is even genuine, which I'm really starting to think it's really, it's not at this point, because
I think it's safe to assume that Sadako is just playing everybody at this point, and that she's like, most of what she says is not honest or genuine. She's just
no, she doesn't care. I mean, you saw like how she just like blatantly shot Mion in the face in the last episode. She didn't care. All she cared was just like having just having her one objective done by making Rika suffer over and over again. But okay, so there's another thing that the show's been hinting, like ever since like the end of Higurashi Go, is the fact that they keep hammering the point in which that Rika has to be the one that dies first before Sadako, because Sadako has to make sure that she dies first in order for her to follow her into the same loop that she's in, on a repetitive basis. Now, Featherine, of course, has this conversation with Sadako in this episode, just telling her that Featherine's taking enjoyment from everything that's happening, and it pretty much sedates her boredom from time to time. But she also mentions to Sadako that she's the one who's rolled the dice first, and if something goes south, then like Sadako's going to end up suffering the consequences. Now, the way it works is like, if Sadako ends up dying before Rika, then Sadako will end up waking up in a separate loop in which Rika does not exist. So it's really definitely hinting at the fact that Sadako is going to be left alone without Rika.
Yeah. I mean, I anticipate, of course, that the ceremonial sword that Rika gets later on is probably going to be used on Sadako, and that maybe will be the one to kill her. But I'm kind of wondering, like, if that does happen, like, what loop exactly will she end up in? Like,
like I said, it's like Featherine said, she's gonna get into a loop in which Rika does not exist, or she's not born in. I mean, she'll be in
so
Hinamizawa.
Like, she'll still have everybody, all the other characters still be there, but Rika won't be there.
Nope.
I mean, it'll be interesting if that does end up happening. I think it would be fitting, though, like, that might, because considering how obsessed Sadako is at this point, maybe that's the only way, is to just put her into another separate timeline where Rika isn't even around. So yeah, I mean, you could be right. This could not at all end up being some kind of a setup for Umineko or being connected to it in any way. That might be how it ends. And I think it would be like I said, it would be a fitting ending considering Sadako's obsession. But yeah, I mean, I think you might be onto something that could be what ends up happening. Obviously, I think it would be completely ridiculous if Sadako for whatever reason is forgiven or anything like that. I mean, she's pretty much. I feel like the series has got out of the way to show that Sadako is really just beyond forgiveness. So I really hope that's not what ends up happening, because that would be completely stupid. I do wonder how Rika and the rest of them might react though when they find out what Sadako's been up to, if they end up actually finding out. I know obviously Rika will find out.
I don't think they will. It's just it's possible. Like I said, that it's a possibility. It's that Sadako will get in, start getting into the one loop in which she'll live without Rika for possibly for the remainder of her life, except with the exception of everyone else there, like Rena, Keiichi, and everyone else there, with the exception of Rika. So we'll have to see where it goes, but it looks like it's definitely hinting at that. Even the opening credits is possibly hints at that as well.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good episode. There was a lot of new scenes that we didn't see before, including like a conversation with Rika and Hanyu at the beginning, and also just the conversation between Sadako and Yua or Featherine, and also just more scenes of Featherine just observing what's happening and obviously taking pleasure in what's going on. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about it, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
I mean, honestly, like these episodes were okay. It's just, the thing is like they're pretty predictable at this point, and we obviously know what's going to happen. Possibly, I would guess maybe another couple episodes watching how this whole thing unfolds. But we know the end result. And
I feel like with this, there won't be quite as much to cover because, with the in the first season, we just saw everything from Keiichi and everybody else's perspective while Sadako was absent. So I feel like a lot of this will be mostly like newest content, showing what Sadako was up to, while they were like trying to get her away from Teppei.
Yeah, I mean, she's going, she's going out of her way to just let this whole thing play out, in order to, just to let like Rika suffer in the end. But that's pretty much it. But this is obviously like the last like known arc we know before it gets to what was that arc?
Neko Damashi, I think.
The Neko. And
like I said, I'm not sure if they're really going to like show that again, because that was just from Rika's perspective. And I mean, like Sadako was probably just watching the whole time, I would guess. And just, I mean, I don't think she was doing anything that important during this. So I think they could probably like, I don't know if they're going to, do you think they're going to go over Neko Damashi again? Or are they just going to like jump to the new stuff like Sado Kawashi or whatever?
It's definitely going to go through the Neko Damashi arc again. I mean, it's gonna be like a little bit more condensed, just like all these other episodes have been. But like I said, it's gonna go into Sadako's perspective, and then hopefully we'll finally get to that point in which was kind of cut off from us since like mid second quarter of that season. Yeah, so, I mean,
considering we've already seen a lot of what's going to happen to, I think that it's going to be more condensed, and also just considering this is going to be like 15 episodes, it would have to be. Yeah,
the Neko Damashi arc was just basically Rika just going through loop after loop after loop of,
I mean, it was pretty much a speed run of these different loops where it just got to the end result of
it's like it's likely the what was it, the answer revealing arc is gonna be exactly the same, but a little likely to be more condensed as well. But yeah,
I would imagine that we would just see like Sadako and Feathery just watching Rika dying multiple times and taking, just laughing or something sadistic, while just watching. That'll probably be like how Neko Damashi plays out in this season.
But it's eventually going to get it's starting to show that Sadako's overconfidence is going to get the better of her.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, I pretty much predict that's going to be part of how she gets defeated is her overconfidence, and I guess her thinking that Rika won't be able to do anything. And of course, as we know, like Sadako doesn't. I don't think Sadako actually knows that Rika, at that point where we left off, actually has the ritual sword that can kill her. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I don't think she even. Yeah, I don't know if she really knows, unless Featherine shows her. But I really doubt Featherine would really tell her something like that.
Well, I guess okay. There is something I did forget regarding that. Featherine and Sadako have been able to spy on Rika and Hanyu's conversations, and Hanyu did tell her that. So maybe Featherine might know about that. So yeah, it's I don't really know though. So I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, I guess that all being said, until next Thursday, we will see you all next time.